The comments and opinions of Talk of the Heartland with Mac McKoy are not necessarily the opinions of Walnut Media USA, management, station manager Janelle Reeves, any particular denomination or religion, the mailman, the church lady, or anyone else of sound mind and body. Now, here's the Talk of the Heartland with Mac McKoy on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian voice.
All right, it's 5 minutes after the hour of 4 o'clock. Excuse me, on this, the 20th day of June in the Lord's year 2022. I'm Mac McKoy, and welcome to the Monday edition of Talk of the Heartland. We're glad to have you by today. We are inviting you to share in two brand new programs today, one at 5 and one at 5:30. Shh! You've heard one of them, and you know how good Debbie Blank and her team is, but there's a newbie today. And I'll just let you tune in and tell me what you think. Your comments are always important to us. This is the only way you can get your comments to me. Pigeon? No. You just email them to me, mac at kcro.com. And it is your voice I want to hear. You hear me say that all the time, but it's kind of crucial, so I appreciate you taking the time to let us know what you're thinking and how we can make things better for you. So, how was your weekend? I hope it was good. Father's Day. Didn't hear any disasters here and there. Well, except, we had a couple shootings again. One over here in Des Moines, just, a couple hours east of Omaha, south down and bound. No, I'm mixing up songs. Somebody looked at the wrong person in the wrong way in a grocery store, and a shot went off, and then it ricocheted and hit somebody else, but apparently it was somewhat accidental. It just seems like the regular thing. You know what I wish I could do? I'm going to say this out loud because I really would like God to bless me with this. I'd like him to come in and help me feel in my heart and soul what's the right way to end all this violence. I don't believe that guns are the problem. You're going to call me a Trumpster or an old white man or something like that. No, it's really simple. If I put a gun on the table, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't even grow old. It doesn't even rust. It just sits there. And not until someone with whatever mindset they may have decides they're going to pick it up and use it as a weapon, we have a group of people in this country who think the answer is more gun control. And Lord, I would just ask you, could you just give me a dream or give me a vision or give me a Bible verse or something that helps me understand where they're coming from? I really do want to understand. I am here to serve you, Christ. I am here to serve the men and women you put me alongside to help them know that you are the answer to everything. And I think, Lord, you could be the answer to me trying to understand what we're going to do about all this violence. It doesn't seem it's just mentally ill people. It doesn't seem that it's just a one race or one age or one color or one demographic. It doesn't seem to be a certain part of the country or a certain part of the day. It happens in grocery stores and churches and movie theaters and schools. And and if you've got that answer, if God has given you that answer, please share it with me because I'm stuck on this one. Part of me wants to sit back and say, listen, you low information voters, quit messing with the Second Amendment. And please remember, I don't own guns. I don't shoot them. I do go to I guess I should say I do. I go to a range every couple of 6 months or so and borrow a gun or rent a gun from them and shoot just to make sure I'm sharp in my age. But I don't own a gun. I'm not going to buy a gun. I don't like them. You could even say maybe I'm not even sure if I'm a person who you could ever totally say, well, he won't use that gun irresponsibly. because I think so many guns are used irresponsibly. But that's not the gun's fault. So I just need, Lord, I need you to come into my dream, come into my life, just lay on my heart why gun control is the right thing for this. And I'll trust you, Jesus. I really will. And I'll become the biggest proponent of gun control on the face of this earth. If, God, you can tell me we'll be safe, that the government will not come and try to overtake us because we have no way of fighting back. People say, well, the Constitution is outdated. Well, I understand why you're saying that, because you're part of the cancel culture. I mean, you think if you don't like something, you can just cancel it. How? That's like me saying sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. It's true. But it's a choice I make to allow words to hurt me. It's a choice I make to use a gun to hurt somebody, which I would never do. I never have. I never will. But I don't understand why that's the only answer. So, Lord, I need you to tell me what the other answer is, because I don't know. And I don't even know if I have anybody on either side of the aisle who I trust enough to tell me, with God in the midst of their heart, with God being the number one thing in their life, they have turned their life over to the care of God, the father of Abraham and Joseph and Michael and Adam and Eve and Matt and Nick and Jeff and Jerry. And Papa, you are our creator, you are our father, and we need guidance from you right now. We are in a pinnacle point. And I am not a conspiracy theorist person. I just, it's just somebody's got too much time on their hands. But I do worry about this country for the next of the year. We just entered the 6th month, so we're almost halfway done with 2022. And 2 years ago, we were scared to go out of I was scared to go out of the house sometimes because of the riots and the violence that was happening in the streets of Omaha and Des Moines and Minneapolis and St. Louis and Portland, and it just seems everywhere. And it just seems that when people, I don't know, if I'm wrong, you can tell me I'm wrong. It just seems that when people can't figure out how to handle something the way God would handle it, then they just turn to all the devil's tools. Which I just heard a voice inside my head say, yeah, that's right, Mac. Either you're in God's will or you're not. And when you're not in God's will, whose will are you in? It isn't yours. You don't have a separate will from God and Satan. Your will is somewhere tied up between the two of them. There is no third will. There is free will, and you have free will to choose either I'm not going to let gun control be the answer to the violence that's going on in this country, or, it's just the stupidest thing I've ever said. Or let's go 1 year with no guns and see what happens. Are we that stuck on ourselves as a country that we can't? Okay. The lefties, the liberals, the low information voters, whoever you want to call them, think that if we got rid of all the guns, there would be no more shootings. And by the way, Mr., Sir, young lady, if you don't think that, if you think that just getting rid of the guns will get rid of some of the violence, some isn't good enough to break the Constitution. You want a new Constitution? There's a way to go about that. Yes, even the forefathers thought of that. So go down those roads. Go down the legal, proper, adult, grown-up way of changing things if that's what you want done. Change the law. Man, if I thought getting rid of guns would one, end the violence in our schools and in our malls and our grocery stores and our churches, if I thought that would do it, I'm on your side all the way, 100%. Let's go. I'll go testify for the Nebraska unicameral. I'll go to Iowa and for the I'll go on CNN, for God's sake. Somebody wake up Larry King from his rest in peace, and let's go do this thing. But I just don't think that's it. You know what I think the problem is? You've already said it, and I know I haven't this morning yet or this afternoon. The problem is sin. We think for some reason because we could pick up this little game controller in our hand that's no bigger than a couple packs of cigarettes or a small tissue box, and because you can fire bullets in a game at unreal people, that it's okay to kill people. I don't like that term, I told you so, but if I could go back to 1980 and stand on a higher soapbox, a louder soapbox than I had in that time, our kids should not be playing dangerous, kill 'em up, shoot 'em up video games. Because look what's happened. Now, whoa, hold on. You just got mad at me and told me that has nothing to do with it. Well, neither does a gun. It's people who kill people. And we just went through another weekend of people killing people. Lord, please send us the answer. And I think in the short 9 minutes that you and I have talked so far today in this hour, I think God laid the answer on my heart already, and I already knew it. I've known it for a long time. Be 13 years next month. Jesus is king. This kingdom is not of my world. I don't care. I care about you. I care about you being able to go safely to the grocery store or to church or wherever it is. I don't think you should have to fear for your life. But taking away a weapon isn't the answer. If that was the case, if we could get rid of all the bully clubs back in the Stone Age days, then we wouldn't have any violence today, right? I mean, nobody would have picked up a rock without a club, right? I mean, David had to have a slingshot and 3 rocks and a piece of rubber band and a stick, some type of animal skin to swirl it around and then, boom, let it go. But it's still a weapon. God, just give us the answer. I want it, and I'll tell everybody about it. It's time. It's absolutely time. All right, when we come back, how long do you wait for God? This is a big question. In my life, and I can only speak for myself, this is like one of the big ones. Well, I'm going to give God until the end of the weekend, and then if I don't have the answer to what I need, I'm going to go figure it out. Now, that's the dumbest thing I've ever said in my life. Let me just push God aside because I've got the better answer. Even though he needed more time to make it happen the way he willed it to happen, I'm just going to push him out of the way and say, my turn. Sorry, Charlie, you took too long. How do you wait on God? How long do you wait on God? We're going to have some fun little understanding and studies of that, because that's the key to the relationship. How long can you wait on God to fix things, to fix what we broke? Well, he did it once with Jesus on the cross. I say he can do it again. I'm Mac McKoy, and if I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. It's no accident you're here today. We've been praying for you. Little teeny-weeny prayer you did the other day or maybe over the weekend. Please heal my cat. Please take care of my puppy. Please don't let it be quite so hot or keep my air conditioning on or whatever your little prayer was. It's a big prayer to God. There are no little prayers to God. You might say, well, I like that because that means my little prayer is as big as the big prayer. Yeah, it also means there's no little lies. And there's no little adultery. And there's no little this or little that. It's all one thing. It's God's will or it's not. And if it's not, it's your will. And are you telling God to get out of the way? We'll talk about that today live here on the Talk of the Heartland, on the Heartland's Christian Voice, on AM 660, FM 107.6, and all around the world at kcro.com.
Do you need a little good news in your life? Tune in to Spotlight Good News Omaha on KCRO 3 times daily, weekdays at 5:30 a.m., 9:45 a.m., and 10:15 p.m. with your host, Tim Janisewski, on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian Voice.
Some of John C. Fremont Day's favorite attractions are the Nye and Barnard Park Historical Tours. Both Nye and Barnard Park Historical Tours are free, and tickets are first come, first served. The Nye tours are Friday night, and the Barnard Park are Saturday night. Times are 4 p.m., 5:15, and 6:30. Seating is limited to the first 20 on each tour. Tickets are available at Premier Staffing, 415 East 6th Street in the Lincoln Federal Building, starting Monday, June 27th between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Get your tickets today. For more information, go to johncfremontdays.org.
If we promise God something in a crisis and then later don't do it, are we condemned? Jephthah, one of the 12 judges God appointed, made a rash promise to God, and now his daughter's life is at stake. What does Jephthah do? How does God respond? Board the Bible bus with Dr. J. Vernon McGee this week and find out.
Through the Bible, weekday mornings at 6:30 and 10:30 on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian Voice.
Greetings, I'm Jackie Marr with Share His Light Ministries. In our studio, I have Ryan Sears, the Omaha director of the FCA. Hi.
How's it going?
What is FCA?
FCA is the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. It's been in existence since 1954. It's an international organization, and it's doing a lot of things here in the state of Nebraska.
Yes, and you are the director for Omaha. How long have you been here?
So I've been on staff with FCA for 7 years, and I've been 2 years in this role as Omaha director.
Fantastic, and thank you for your service. Now you work with athletes at every school or schools?
Yeah, so we say that coaches have a ton of influence, and we want to help coaches to disciple their athletes. And so we're really trying to connect with coaches. We say we're at our best when we're ministering to coaches and then through coaches, using their influence.
And how many schools are you involved with?
We have over 30 plus campuses that we have activity going on. Yeah, and it's all through volunteers and coaches who want to use their roles to further the gospel in our city.
Oh, that's really amazing, really, in our culture to have this influence in our public schools, which we need so much.
Yes. Yeah, we see all the bad stuff, all the headlines. Looks like things are bad, and there are some bad things, but the undercurrent of that we see, and other organizations see, I'm sure, is God is doing some cool things, even in our public schools, through coaches, through volunteers, and so we're excited about what's going on.
Well, when the darkness is there, even just light a little match, a little light will glow, won't it?
Yes. The darker it is, the brighter that light shines.
Yeah.
And it's been cool from my perspective just to, zoom out, and see the landscape of Omaha and how many of God's people have hearts for the Lord and want to use their influence to point people to Jesus. So.
Well, and there is an Omaha FCA Golf Scramble coming up June 27th at Shadow Ridge Country Club. Where can we get more information on that?
You can go to our website, omahafca.org, under the events tab, and you can register there. We also have sponsorships available if you can't attend. But it's not a fundraiser. It's more kind of a fun competition deal where the top 3 teams advance to the state scramble at Dismal River. And so it's really a unique event, and we want to have a great day, invite people to hear a little bit more about FCA. We'll have an FCA coach and an FCA student from our area who'll be sharing a little bit about what's going on in their context. And so it's just a day to build a relationship, have a good time, and hear about what God's doing.
Excellent. Well, go to the website again.
omahafca.org.
omahafca.org. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
KCRO.
Trouble, unless you've been walked on the water.
20th day of June in the Lord's year 2022. I'm Mac McKoy, and this is the Talk of the Heartland here on the Heartland's Christian Voice. And remember, it's your voice I want to hear. Just email me, mac@kcro.com, and we will get back with you. We appreciate all your income. We appreciate your input. And the other thing to that is we will be, and I thought it would be this week, but we've got some people on vacation, and everybody deserves a good vacation, so I don't blame them. But we are very close in having our studio lines open. And for those of you that have your phone out or where you keep your phone numbers or something like that, it's easy to remember. It's 344-0660. Now, obviously, you put a 1 and a 402 in front of that, but I don't need to do that, I hope, for you here, because it's 344-0660, and that's the number you'll be able to call starting sometime later this week or first of next week to be able to call in and give us your opinion. And one of the things I'm going to do when we first do this is I'm going to take some of the questions that I asked my pastors, and you've heard them answer for almost a year now. Well, this will be your chance to answer them. This will be your chance to give us your 2, 3, 5, 10, 25-cent answer. Maybe it's the $1 million one for somebody because they've been waiting for an answer to their prayers, and God is bringing them to this radio station somehow, some way, someday. It isn't me. It isn't even you. It's him. Talking to him or her, and absolutely giving them the answer, the comfort, the peace, the joy inside their own heart to know that God has spoken, and it is okay to wait for the Lord. And thank you for waiting on the Lord. You know, one of my favorite characters in the Bible, and I don't like the word character because it sounds like I'm talking about a movie, but for a lack of better terms, and that's David, King David. David wrote the Psalms. What would we all have a coffee cup somewhere with a psalm on it. Or we all have a sign that hangs on the wall with a psalm on it. Psalms are incredibly woven into God's message to us. Maybe they're more for the simpleton like me. I have a harder time when it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. I kind of have to put my Bible down and shut the phone off and shut everything else and just read word by word and then go back and read again. And then I have a good understanding of what a lengthy chapter or book or even several verses might mean. But I want to know. It's God speaking to me. It's not my decision where his words come from. It's his. And one of the questions that we ask ourselves all the time, at least I do, maybe you don't. If you don't, I want to know your answer because you're a pretty son of a gun blessed person. How long do you wait for the Lord? I mean, if you're praying for success in a operation, in surgery. It was a week ago tomorrow. 2 weeks ago tomorrow that I had major soldier surgery. And all my prayers, all of them, and many others said, just guide the hands of Dr. Hutton, the surgeon, and God, your will be done. So what if they would have lost me on the table? Was that God's will? Yeah, it is. It may not be God's will to, I've got to say this carefully. I don't think God takes our life. I think our life has a certain, if I may say, longevity or shortgevity, if that's a word. I don't think it's a word. But when I counsel people, when I comfort people who have lost someone through death, too many times, that mother, that father, that son, that daughter, that sibling will say, why did they take my grandfather? Why did God take my grandfather? He wasn't old enough. I barely knew him. I had so much more to learn from him. I will miss him every single day. How could you do that, God? Well, God didn't. And I'm firm on that. I bet money on that. See, God doesn't take our lives. God rescues us. He brings us home to the greatest life of all eternity. And that's spending time, all time, for the rest of time, however long time that is, with him. And I personally can't wait. I will wait because it's not my call. So how long are you willing to wait for your prayer to be answered? Psalm 27:14 says, wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord. A lot of folks in the Bible learned to wait for God. And when they didn't wait for God, God's will was not carried out. And if for whatever reason God's will isn't possible for you because of decisions you're making, you're in trouble. I'm in trouble. We're all in trouble because then there's only one will acting. That's the will we don't want anywhere close to us if we follow Jesus. It's 29 minutes before 5 o'clock. Today at 5 o'clock, 2 new programs airing on this radio station. One, you've heard over and over, a very talented team of Debbie Blank and Living Word Ministries. And then after that, a whole brand new show from a brand new folk that has joined us here at KCRO. And I hope you take the time to listen to him because his ministry is extremely important to all of us, including me and hopefully you. I'm Mac McKoy. It's no accident you're here today. We've been praying for you. And thanks for letting us pray for you. And please feel free to pray for us. The Heartland's Christian Voice on AM 660 and FM 106.7. Oh, yeah, and all around the world on KCRO.com.
We want to encourage you, support you, and remind you of how important your mom job is. Hey, it's Jenny from Channel Mom Radio, and we bring you dynamic interviews with well-known authors and experts to help boost your mom game and your grandma game to be a blessing to your whole incredible family. So tune in every week for Channel Mom Radio.
Channel Mom, Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 9 p.m. on KCRO.
The Salvation Army's Summer Fan Program is happening now. Summer's here and temperatures are on the rise. If you or someone you know could use a boxed fan to help keep cool this season, we can assist. Just call 402-898-5860. That's 402-898-5860. Certain restrictions apply. For more information on the Summer Fan Program, log on to salarmyomaha.org or again, just call that number, 402-898-5860. The Salvation Army, doing the most good right here in the Metro.
Hey, this is Mac McKoy from Talk of the Heartland, here on the Christian Voice of the Heartland, AM 660, KCRO, and FM 106.7 in Lincoln. Hey, if you have a pastor you'd like to hear share their theology and things about their church, maybe it's your church, I'd sure like to have you recommend that pastor, or maybe a friend, someone you work with, a relative, maybe a grandchild, somebody who loves Jesus and would like to talk about it on the radio. I would love to hear from you. You can call me at 1-402-819-2666. That's a recorded line we have, and you can tell me whatever you want, and I'll listen to the message. Or you can always email me at Mac, that's M-A-C, at KCRO.com. And no matter where you are when you're listening, at home, at work, or in the car, remember to write it down. We are AM 660 and 106.7 KCRO. And thanks for listening.
Imagine if you could be 100% in sync, in touch, in tune with God all the time. On the next Focus on the Family, John Burke reminds us that God is the source of life and our contentment and joy. He gives us a clear picture of what to do with our lives and how to trust Him with our strongest, deepest desires. Next time on Focus on the Family.
Focus on the Family, weekdays at 7:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. on KCRO, 660 a.m. in Omaha and 106.7 FM in Lincoln.
Now your forecast for KCRO for Omaha, Council Bluffs, and Lincoln. A heat advisory continues until 10 p.m. tonight. Partly cloudy skies tonight with a slight chance for scattered storms. Lows dip down to about 77. Winds out of the south 10 to 20 miles per hour. Slight chance for scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. High of 91. Slight chance for scattered storms tomorrow night, 67. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley on KCRO. Right now, 94.
Heartland's Christian Voice, KCRO.
As Jesus walked along the beach or the sand of the Sea of Galilee, he looked out and saw the fishermen, simply looked at them and said, "Follow me." It's the 20th day of June in the Lord's year 2022. I'm Mac McKoy, and this is the Talk of the Heartland. Here on the Heartland's Christian Voice, AM 660 and FM 106.7, and all around the world at KCRO.com. And for those of you that take the time to listen to this or watch this program on our webcast, you can find all of our programs on YouTube. YouTube.com, search Mac McKoy, MacMcKoy, and there's all the programs done since we got to Omaha. And there are other programs even older than that are on there, and you may enjoy that and find some of those. But for the most part, you can always find our webcast. And it is not a podcast. It is more than a podcast. We have pictures. Now, I don't call it TV. I've been doing this for 15, 16 years online as well as on a terrestrial radio station. And it's just wrong to call it TV. What those folks at KTV do, that's TV. What the folks at WOWT do, that's TV. What I do here is called webcasting. There are two cameras. They point at us. They make it transparent so you can see who we are and what's going on. They don't go away during the commercial breaks. They're always on. I forget that sometimes. I'm sure I've had embarrassing moments where I've itched my nose or scratched myself, like in the face. But I just appreciate you taking the time to listen and to watch. And whenever you should watch or listen to one of these, I still want your input. You know, just because the program was broadcast on Monday the 20th, doesn't mean I won't in one way or a fashion bring it up again in a month or 6 months or a year when it's pertinent. We'll talk about how long do you wait for God? I mean, I don't know. I think that's a devotional we could probably read every day, couldn't we? I mean, let me raise my hand first. Who out there thinks it takes God too long to meet Mac's time frame? Yeah, see? All right, second showing of hands. Who thinks Mac's time frame isn't God's frame? Whoop. Oh, my gosh. How did my hand... Oh, there it goes again. It's up. See, we either follow him or we don't. And it's not easy. I lived a very rich, secular life. And it's all public, so Google me. But it wasn't until Christ came and mugged me almost 13 years ago that I realized why I was really here. And why it was so important for me to learn how to wait on God. I'm getting better. I really am. I want a gold star. I want a trophy. Everybody gets a trophy. If you could put your needs aside and your discomforts and your impatience aside just long enough, to let God show you what it is he's got for you, you will be amazed. I'm amazed. You'll be amazed at what he does with your life. But everything else has to come on hold. Relationships that you think you can't live without, well, those are the relationships killing you. The jobs that you think you need to work there because it's high, it's cool, it's neat, it's a big-time job, and you make a ton of money. But it puts you in way too many places where God just isn't there. Here's a Macism for you. Don't ever go where God isn't. Or, turn it into a positive, always go where you can find God and hang with God in the middle of it. Try to do this on your own without him. Death, sin, adultery, glutton, lies, cheating, and stealing. Raise my hand. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Spend your time in the Lord and be patient and wait for him. Remember Jeremiah? He's my second favorite prophet. My first is Isaiah. But when God came to call Jeremiah to be a prophet of saying things that were kind of tough to Judah, Jeremiah protests, saying, "Hey, sovereign Lord, I don't know how to speak. I am only a child." But the Lord said to him, "Do not say you are only a child, Jeremiah. You must go to everyone I send you to and say whatever I ask you to say. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you and will recuse you. I will rescue you, declares the Lord." That's Jeremiah 1, 6 through 8. God is saying that these things will be done through Jeremiah's dependence on his strength and provision, and that he will, without a doubt, rescue him. How long can you wait? It's that scene. I don't care what movie it is for you. We've all seen him in every kind of movie over the years, especially war movies. But I think about the movie Titanic, when Jack was trying to hold up the woman he loves high enough so she could breathe air. And it was over the line and where the water was. Because the first time Rose would take a breath, she would inhale poison. No, same stuff we drink, same stuff we bathe in, same stuff that we have in the ocean. It's not poisonous then. But it's poisonous when we breathe it in, when we should be taking in air rather than water. We all know what it feels like to be up against it. And yet, if we just trust in God, we trust in the Lord, in knowing that he has our back, or as I like to say, he's got my six. You don't have to trust him. You haven't trusted him in all periods of your life. I know I haven't. Can you think back a time that you didn't trust God and it came out well for longer than a minute or an hour or even a day? So you took that job because it paid more. The pressure was unbelievable. You got to spend half of the time you used to spend with your kids, your grandkids, your spouse, friends. But somehow accomplishing that secular goal of being the best on earth is worth something to you. So go do it, please. Get it out of the way. Just ignore God. Go out and do what you think's best for you and see how that works out for you. Because I'll tell you how it worked out for me. I want God in my life every moment of the day. And I invite you in, Father. Papa, come, walk with me, sing with me, talk with me, cry with me, sleep with me. Be there every moment of my life so I can breathe you in and push everything out that isn't of yours. See, there is something about God's rescues that make them a little less timely than dialing 111. Dialing 911. How does that happen? How does that work? I'll come back and tell you, okay? It's the 20th day of June. It's Monday. Thanks for listening to the voice, to the talk, to the soul of the heartland, here on KCRO.
KCRO is seeking partners interested in sharing God's message to our listeners. We would welcome the opportunity to discuss the mission of your business, organization, or ministry and how it might fit into the KCRO lineup. For more information, go to kcro.com and contact Janelle.
Hey, this is Pastor Delmer. I'm inviting you today to join us for Rise Up. It happens every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. on KCRO. We've been doing a New Testament survey. We have been talking about things like faith. Next week, we're going to be talking about the second coming of Jesus Christ. So we want to understand it better. We hope that you join us next week for Rise Up.
Good Shepherd Funeral and Cremation Services staff and the owner were serving Omaha families for years before moving to South 82nd and L. Then in 2021, Good Shepherd opened a second funeral home at 3809 North 90th. Both Omaha Good Shepherd locations offer professional care and all their funeral and cremation services for more affordable rates. Good Shepherd's team will support you and your family. Good Shepherd Funeral and Cremation Services will honor your loved ones and help you celebrate their memories. Good Shepherd's online at gsfuneral.com.
David Brooks here, inviting you to join me Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. for the Retire Smart radio show. We'll provide you answers to your retirement questions and help you navigate these uncertain financial times. Don't just retire, retire smart. Saturday mornings at 10 a.m.
Investment advisory services offered through Smart Wealth LLC, a federally registered investment advisor and affiliate of Retire Smart. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training.
How does the news around us affect us as Christians? Listen in for Jay Sekulow weekdays at 11 a.m. on KCRO.
100 years KCRO.
It's the 20th of June, and the Lord's year 2022. Good afternoon, I'm Mac McKoy. This is Talk of the Heartland. I've got the incredible Debbie Blank and Living Word Ministries coming up along with a brand new program here on KCRO. It's coming up here in the next hour. I invite you to stop and listen. And just maybe by maybe, God's trying to speak to you through one of the programs here on KCRO. We are 100 years old this year, and here is, well, it's for you. From one of the greatest presidents in America to one of the greatest radio stations in America. Happy 100th birthday, KCRO.
They show us that America is more than just government on the one hand and helpless individuals on the other. They show us that lives are saved, people are reborn, and yes, dreams come true when we heed the voice of the Spirit, minister to the needy, and glorify God.
100 years KCRO. KCRO.
All right, good afternoon. We are back on the Talk of the Heartland here with about 9 minutes left before the top of the hour. Coming this week, I have guests scheduled every single week, and I I just got to tell you, the reason that I don't tell you in advance who the guests are going to be, it's not a secret. Most of my guests are pastors. That's what we do here. We talk to pastors on Talk of the Heartland. We bring in pastors from every denomination. Some you think are okay, some you think aren't. Not okay. But thanks for listening. Maybe you'll learn something. I know I always do. And when the majority of your guests are pastors, guess what happens 15 minutes before the show starts sometimes? Or an hour before the show starts? Or a day before they're scheduled to come in? I served as a pastor in church for years, and I can tell you that it's a 24/7 job. And it's also extremely lonely at the top. But when you're called to go to a funeral, to go to a death, to go to someone's side, someone in your flock, your congregation, your people, Mac McKoy's radio show is the least important thing you need to worry about. So rather than seem like it would embarrass someone for not being able to make it to the program, we just don't tell you in advance. But I will tell you this week we're going to talk about waiting for God. We're going to talk about spiritual warfare and what happens maybe if we wait too long or we don't wait long enough. Because may I be straight with you? When it comes to Jesus, I don't think you can wait too long. I think you wait exactly the right amount of time he had planned for you to wait. You know, in the last few weeks, 23 pregnancy centers, pro-life pregnancy centers, have been vandalized or firebombed. That's just in the last recent weeks. What do you think God has been saying to people like me who have been crying out to get rid of this genocide of the unborn? And the other million people, or 2, or 100 million, or 1 billion all around this world, this globe, that says, hey, God, can't we please stop killing babies? And maybe this is a subject that applies more to us than we even knew. Maybe God is saying, can you just wait, please? See, just like these people who firebomb these pro-life, no-abortion clinics for women, it just doesn't seem like he's acting soon enough. Just like with the epidemic, the COVID-19 epidemic, thank you. Don't you think it's time we threw away the masks? We ended social distancing? That we got to be on any airplane at any time, any church at any time, any train at any time, any plane at any time? Isn't it about time? I mean, it's 3 years now. I'm sorry, 2 years now, Lord. 20 to 21, 21 to 22, it all happened about March. We're now in our 27th month, 26th month. And for whatever reason, God is saying, shh, I got this. Trust in me. Trust in me because I am your Lord, God. And I have what you believe is the most important thing to you at the top of my priority list. But it may change just a little bit. Can you deal with that? God asks. Can you wait a little longer to get the perfect answer? Perfect answer? I'll tell you what, there's decisions I've made in my entire life if I would have waited for a day or an hour or even a moment. Lives would have been changed. Some of my decisions have spoiled or soiled, if I may, no P, God's plan for my life. And he loves me more than I'll ever be able to know. And so he makes things all work for the good. Thank you, Paul from Romans. Maybe God's the one who's impatient. See, maybe the reason you haven't got your prayer answered yet is because you haven't done all the things that God's asked you to do to be prepared to get the answer. When Jesus came and mugged me 13 years ago, I thought, oh boy, here I get to go. I'm going to be a big radio preacher. That fell apart in months. Well, okay, Lord, let me surrender to you, and I will go to seminary and serve your life, serve my life with your will in the church, caring for the flock, the congregation. That didn't work either. Was I impatient? Yes. Was I listening as much to God as I should have? No. So let's try to listen a little longer, a little harder, a little more careful. Let's try to listen to what God has planned for us. Try to be that light at the end of the tunnel. That there is no regret. That there is no, but what's the word I want? There is not a moment wasted. There is not a minute gone by that God hasn't wanted us to spend and use in a certain way. And thanks to him, we have. But it's his time frame, not mine. It's not yours. And you know who's telling you not to pay attention to time frame, right? You know who's telling you to say, come on, hurry up. We got to get going. Let's go. Come on. Green light, green light, green light. Come on. Oh, there's the yellow light. I can beat that. Boom, underneath the yellow light, and it turns red. There we go. Somebody far along the line before me and smarter than me said, patience is a virtue. Well, it's a virtue of those who love Jesus, for sure. It is a virtue of people who want to do God's will. Because for us to think that will happen in our lifetime, in the way that we want it to be timed out, that's just wrong. And I'll give you the best pieces of proof I have. 700 years before Jesus was born, another prophet by the name of Isaiah told us he would come, told us how he would come, who he would be, what he would stand for, what he would fight for, and what he wouldn't. 700 years before Jesus, a man, just a man like you, like me, like your dad, like your brother, like your son, been waiting for God to tell us what we need to do. As the devil whispers in our ear, shh, God's not on your time frame. You got to jump on his. Just do your thing, man. He'll catch up. God meets you where you're at. So let's allow God to meet us where we're at. There's no secret on this earth that we are an impatient people, right? And that impatience is not of God. God never yelled at David or Daniel or Moses or Noah or anybody else. Hurry up. Catch up. We got things to do. He met we where we are, and we waited. And then at exactly the right moment, God said, follow me. You are mine, and I am yours. You are my people, and I will be your God, and I will forgive every single sin you have ever committed, as far as the east is from the west, and the north is from the south. As far as your first breath to your last breath takes, and all the time in between. Wait for me. What I have for you is the best. What is out there now is not finished. It's not ready for you yet. Oh, I know you can pick it up, you can grab it, you can make it happen now. But it's not God's will. It's your will. And let's pray that God's will is what we do from now and forever. Amen.